As a strength athlete, the most important training principle in your career will be the progressive overload principle. In this video, I'll share with you what progressive overload is, why it is so important, and how to apply it to your training sessions, and many more useful tips that will help you to become a stronger athlete. We are also going to take a look into how you can apply this principle to arm wrestling. So, what is progressive overload? Progressive overload means gradually increasing the stress on a muscle or a group of muscles. By doing that, the muscles are forced to adapt to the new stress level by becoming stronger and bigger. Your body will only adapt to stress levels that are slightly above what it's used to. Progressive overload affects three major systems: your muscles, your tendons, which for us arm wrestlers are extremely important, and the nervous system. Your nervous system becomes more efficient because there are more motor units that are recruited, they have higher firing rates, there is better coordination between the muscles, and a stronger muscle-mind connection. Your muscle cells begin to adapt by increasing the muscle fiber cross-sectional area, which basically means your muscles will get bigger. And finally, the tendons respond by becoming stiffer, which allows them to transmit force better. They will grow slightly thicker and the load tolerance will be improved. There are 5 ways in which you can apply the progressive overload principle to your training. You can increase the weight. This is the most basic overload that anyone knows about. You can increase the volume from session to session. This means more sets and reps, but usually with the same weight. You can increase the frequency. This means you will train the muscle or muscle groups more often in a week. You can increase the range of motion or difficulty of the movement. You can do this by going deeper on some exercises or using thicker handles. This one applies well to arm wrestling. And finally, you can increase the effort. This means that if you don't train till failure, you can start going till failure on your main exercises. There are also a few other ways to apply the progressive overload principle, like more time under tension, reducing rest time, and few more, but the 5 ways described a moment ago are the most important one in the strength world. You have to understand that the progressive overload principle becomes more and more important as you advance in your career. As a beginner, you will basically improve by doing anything, even if you train with the same weight, sets and reps. But as you advance, the strength improvements will not be as big as in the beginning. And that's when you'll have to find ways to continue to get stronger and to avoid plateaus. What I already explained until now applies to any strength sport. Now let's zoom into arm wrestling and see how you can apply some of these principles to your day-to-day training sessions. So let's look at a real-life example to understand how you can implement the progressive overload principle to your training. For this, I'm going to use back pressure on the table as an example. Let's say you are a top roller and the back pressure on the table is your main exercise. Using the 5 rules from above, you can apply the progressive overload principle to your exercise as follows. You can increase the weight from session to session. For example, you will start on the first week with a working set of 30 kilo. Next week, you will do 30.5 kilo. The week after that, you will do 31 kilo, and so on. Remember, don't do jumps that are too big, because your body won't be able to adapt to the new load. The second way is to increase the volume from session to session. Let's say your first session, you do the 30 kilo, 3 sets of 6 reps. Next week, you will do the same 30 kilo for 3 sets of 8 reps. A week later, you will do 3 sets of 10. After you reach sets of 10, you can increase the weight. The third way would be to increase the frequency, meaning instead of training your main lift once a week, you will do it twice a week. I wouldn't recommend this method for beginners because it is very easy to overtrain if you don't know how to do this properly. The fourth method can't be applied to this exercise because you can't really go deeper. Remember, you don't have to apply all 5 progressive overload rules for the same exercise all at once. And the last method is increasing the effort. That basically means you won't let any reps in reserve and you will go until failure. So if you train with sets of 6 reps, you will start doing as many reps as possible for every set. Now you can combine a few of these methods. For example, you can combine the increasing weight method and the volume at the same time. You can combine increasing the weight and going till failure. Be creative and find out what works best for you. Even if you do all this stuff in the right way, you will still hit plateaus at some point. That's when you might consider changing exercises or moving patterns. I will do a separate video about plateauing. Let me share a few more tips that you can apply to your training to have more success with the progressive overload principle. The first tip that I can give you is to track your progress. It is extremely important that you track your exact numbers in each exercise. You will have to do a 1 rep max test for your main exercises from time to time to see if what you do actually works. This is the only true and right way to know how strong you are in a muscle or a moving pattern. Not the way that you can move for 5 reps or 8 reps. That is not how you determine how strong you are. Testing your 1 rep max in an exercise every 8 to 10 weeks is what you should aim for. The numbers will vary. The more advanced you are, the smaller the strength increments will be. But the most important part is that you actually get stronger. The next key point is increasing the weight gradually from session to session. Don't do jumps that are too big. In arm wrestling, because you work with relatively small weights, an increase of 1 kilo might already be too much. You always have to calculate the weight increments in percentage. If your working set was 30 kilo on an exercise for week number 1, the following week I would not increase the weight more than 1 kilo, which is already a 3% increase. I would aim for weekly increase in weight between 2 and 4% as someone who is already lifting for quite some time. Next tip is extremely important, which is to try to apply this principle when doing table sessions. This is a very hard thing to do because there is no constant variable when you do your table training sessions. The guys that you train with will put different pressure on different angles. They are strong in different ways and many more aspects that you cannot control. But you can try to apply this principle in 2 different ways. The first one is trying yourself against stronger and stronger opponents while you are fresh every single week. You can only do this if your club has a lot of people in it and you have many different guys with different strength levels. The other way is to pull against the same guys, preferably guys that are weaker than you. And you will start adding resistance bands to them every single week. They will wrap a resistance band around their body and you will pull their arm together with a resistance band. Keep each resistance band level for 2 to 3 weeks, then upgrade to a harder one. This is a great way to train if you are the strongest guy in your club. Another important aspect is knowing that you will not make weight improvements every single week forever. Let's imagine you can add 1 kilo to your working weight per week every single week. In this fashion, you could become a world champion after 1 year of training. That's not how it works. You will be able to add weight to your training sessions only until a certain point. Then it won't be possible anymore. That's when you'll have to drop the weight down and start applying one of the 5 different methods described a moment ago. You could use a lighter weight and do more reps, or you could train the movement multiple times a week, or even change the exercise. These were some methods and tips that you can apply to your arm wrestling training to get better results. If you have any questions, write them down in the comment section. I will answer them all. Also, if my videos are helping your arm wrestling game grow, consider supporting the channel. Link is down below. Keep your eyes on this channel. Great stuff is coming.